and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Stuck in the Middle podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Uncle AK.
Yes, sir, and I'm Reflex. Hey, double.
Double, man.
How you feeling, bro?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Definitely want to, take this opportunity to shout out our listeners and sponsors.
I'm hungry.
You're hungry?
Yeah.
It don't matter. Listen, if you follow Stuck in the Middle podcast, we appreciate you. Do follow us on all social media platforms. That's SITM Podcast. At Gmail is SITM Podcast 237. We'd love to hear from you. And definitely want to let you know about our sponsor, the Perfect Office Solution. They provide affordable, perfect office space for entrepreneurs in the DMV area. So if you let them know we sent you SITM Podcast, the promo code, you get 10% off. Our guest is looking at me like she ready to cop one of those office spaces, man. But I'm going to let you do the honors and introduce who we got in the building today, AK.
Yeah, we have a very special guest in the building. She's the founder and CEO of Jaiyeroof Inc. Welcome to Stuck in the Middle podcast, Saudat Almaroof.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, I killed that name, man. Don't
you
play.
pronounced that properly.
I killed that name,
Did
bro.
you tell him how you pronounce it?
I did.
Yeah, this guy wanted to come and do me.
But he pronounced it well. He remembered. That's good.
So
Yeah,
that,
man.
where is that name originate from?
It's an Arabic name.
Okay. What does it mean?
I'm not sure.
You didn't do your research.
Well, my last name means like the popular one or doing good unto others.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what my first name means.
That's a family name?
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. But, so what is Jaiyeroof and, how did that come about?
Yeah, sure. So Jaiyeroof is a nonprofit who our main mission is to assist underprivileged communities in Nigeria. With that, we want to raise awareness and have African Americans, Nigerian-Americans, African, Black diaspora to be able to give back to Nigeria or to other countries in the diaspora, and then also kind of allow for them to change the narrative of what Africa is based off of like what Africa is depicted in the media to Americans.
I must identify myself as African in order to, let me see if I get that quote right, participate or be African. That's a fellow quote.
Yeah.
It's found on your website.
Yeah.
Why that quote?
So,
could you say it like you're perfect because I butchered it? Do you have it memorized?
no, I don't have it
I
memorized.
must identify myself
with
with Africa,
Africa.
and then I will have an
Identity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was doing my website, I was looking for quotes. That quote stuck out to me because I felt it personally. I would consider myself Nigerian-American. I was born in America. My parents are both Nigerian. I feel like my Nigerian culture is a huge part of my life, but also I've lived in America my entire life. So I definitely have American culture too. That's a part of who I am. So throughout school, I always felt that I was either not African enough or I wasn't American enough. So I picked that quote because after I graduated from school, I felt like I didn't know who I was. After I graduated from university, I felt very lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I did know that I want to help my homeland. I wanted to help my homeland and I wanted to give back to Nigeria because I rep Nigeria really, really hard. So
Nigerians are very proud, man.
very
It's-
proud,
yeah.
very proud people. So I wanted to help my country. I've been repping Nigeria so hard, but I've never given anything back to anyone in Nigeria. So that kind of like messed with my head, like as a person. So when I came across that quote, I'm like, dang, like I have to identify with myself with Africa because that's where we all come from. I can literally trace back my family if I wanted to. People don't. Like my friends, my Black American friends don't have that opportunity to do so. So that quote just stuck out with me because Africa, Nigeria is a part of my identity, is a part of who I am.
Good for you. You unstuck yourself. You were stuck in the middle and you found a way to unstuck yourself.
You did. I didn't hear you say like your parents, raised you guys up to go to school and then when you're done with school, go back and give back to Nigeria. Your parents are unique, man.
Not necessarily. Like for my parents, it was go to school, get your education, get a good job, and that's pretty much what it was. Throughout our like upbringing, we definitely did do like a lot of service. As a child, I didn't look at it that way. Whenever my mom would cook for the mosque or we would have excess food or something like that, my dad would always tell us, well, it can't go to waste. So we're going to pack it up, and we would go to DC and we would give the food to homeless people in DC, like on the streets. That was something that happened as a child. Didn't really look at it as anything, but I was just used to it. And through different organizations that I've been a part of through high school and college, service was always a big part of that. So I felt like that's something that was always innate to me and kind of who I am. So it was natural for me to want to give back to Nigeria.
How long has your organization been in place?
Oh,
Here.
thank
It's
you.
messing with my psychic.
Sorry, I'm like
You were like hugging him over there. Go ahead, my bad, yeah.
Since 2016, September 2016.
And you were born here?
Yes.
In
America.
United States. When was the first time you went to Nigeria?
We lived in Nigeria. We moved to Nigeria in 1997. And
As a family?
As a family, yeah. My dad stayed here, but my mom.
He was like, get out of here. He probably had other plans. He was like, let me shoot them.
Hope not. But it was my older brother. I have an older brother and older sister, myself, and then my younger brother. So all four of us and my mom, we moved back to Nigeria in 1997. My mom had an epiphany, I had all my children. I'm done. I'm moving back home. And then we moved back to America 2 years later because my sister and brother always got sick. So she brought us back. So I lived in Nigeria for 2 years. And then after that, I didn't go back to Nigeria until 2016.
How did that shape you up as a person,
Living in Nigeria?
Yeah, those 2 years. I'm guessing that's where, that birth as far as wanting to give back or just seeing Nigeria. Or that proudness of repping your country.
I honestly wouldn't say those 2 years really affected me because I was very young. I was probably like 5. Yeah, I was like,
I think I'll catch that one.
I was very young when I lived in Nigeria, so I wasn't very aware of the country that I was in or poverty or anything like that. But I would say growing up and hearing my parents talk about our family members or always explaining there are people in Africa, in Nigeria that are suffering, that are living on less than $1 a day. Those things always in the back of my mind. And my parents always went to Nigeria every single year, but they never took us back with them after we came back. So after I graduated from school, I was just like, you know what? It makes no sense that I haven't been to Nigeria in 17 years. I'm going to save my money and I'm going to buy a ticket and go. So.
What you studied in school?
Marketing.
So what's the goal of Jaiyeroof?
The goal of Jaiyeroof is, let me just say, I would hope to have a home base in Nigeria. And then also I would love to be able to venture into other countries in Africa. I would say long-term goal. Right now, for the past couple of years, we have had a Feed Our People project. So every December, we've gone back home and we've provided meals to men and women. The first year, we did hot meals. And then the second year, we did about 200 meals the first year. The second year, our goal increased. We wanted to feed 1,000 people. And with that, we did uncooked rice, uncooked food. But it was a great event. But in Nigeria, what we realized is, we are providing food for all of these people, but this isn't really doing anything for them. After a couple of days, they cook the food.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's not sustainable. So this year, of course, we're still going to do the food project because that was kind of where we started out. But we are kind of making it a little bit bigger and we want to do vocational training. So we're starting out with a 5-day workshop where our goal is to teach these people how to fish, teach these people how to be able to be resourceful so they don't have to depend on different NGOs or different nonprofits to come into their community and feed them. Because you do have a lot of nonprofits, not NGOs that go around in Nigeria and give out food throughout the week. The people not expect it, but they're used to it. So it's great, but it doesn't really solve the problem, doesn't fix anything. So
the people you go to and give food to, is it those in rural areas, or is it those in large, community, like the city versus the village? Let's say.
It's definitely not the village, but I would say like the city.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in Lagos, but we go to like smaller cities. So last year we went to Bariga, and it's a small community, very poverty stricken, very much so. But we want to go back to that same community. We want to be able to build up one community before like just jumping around from community to community. So they already know us in that community. We spent a lot of time there last year giving out the food, talking to the people.
Mm-hmm.
This year we want to go back to that same community and now offer them vocational workshops. So this can be something for you to take back to your family to become a resource for money and things of that nature.
One thing I like about your website or your organization as a whole is you can really see, you and your people in action. You know what I mean? Like you share photos of how you're giving out food and all whatnot. And that I'm just saying that because there are other NGOs out there that don't show proof of what they do. You know what I mean? But you actually showing proof to people that, okay, this is what we do. This is what your money
is going
to. Yeah, definitely.
And so this December, you going, a whole gang of people too,
A lot of people always go to Nigeria in December.
I'm talking about Jaiyeroof specifically.
So we do
plan
have
on going back this December.
Yeah, we are going back
Not
this
just by
December.
yourself, but
no,
with the team.
Yeah, with the team definitely. But we also do have a volunteer aspect of it where we do have slots available for people if they want to come back with us, and we do have housing, food, and board, all of that. And they can spend the time that we're going to be in Nigeria. We're going to have a cultural aspect of the trip as well, and then also the service part.
I was curious as to how you came up with $1,000 as the fee. You charge $1,000 for each volunteer who wants to break it down for us.
Sure. So I believe on the website it's from December 10th through the 20th. It's supposed to be 10 days, I believe. It's probably going to be a little bit longer. But the fee it's the housing, going out to different events. For the 10 days, what we were going to do the 5-day vocational workshop of it. But then also we want people to be able to experience Nigeria. So experience Nigeria, experience the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, and really be able to make your own decision of what Africa is. So we're going to have different events, different going out to different tourist sites, because Nigeria has a lot of them. My parents didn't even know about a lot of the geographical places in Nigeria. So that's some things that we definitely want to explore. So the fee covers your room and board, food, and all costs in terms of going out.
So just to piggyback on what you said, it's interesting that you also, as part of Jaiyeroof, it's not just, providing resources for people in Nigeria, but you're also inviting African Americans, people who were born here, who consider themselves black, to get connected with Africa.
Absolutely. So last year we had 2 volunteers that went back with us. One was actually Nigeria. She was Nigerian, Hamida. And I think it was a while since she went back to Nigeria. And then the other one was Brittany, and she was completely African American. So for her, it was very interesting to watch her take in what Africa is, seeing it right then and there versus what she has been taught. It was very interesting of her. We went to the slave port in Badagry while we're in Nigeria. So for her, slavery as Africans, for me, I'm not going to say that slavery did not impact me, because that's false, but also I can always trace my heritage and my culture. So for her, it was very touching to know that, I'm not sure where in Africa I come from, but to know that this is the land that people were taken from. When we went to the slave port, it was very, very emotional for her. So it was great for her to see the big houses in Lekki and VI, to see Nigerians living life, and then also to see, just like they're in lots of cities in America where people are in poverty, to see that as well and make her own decision. And she wants to come back as well. She loves Nigeria now.
they say charity begins at home, right? How have you impacted here, contrary to Nigeria?
So right now we have not done like any projects in America. We are definitely open to it and something that we want to start doing next year, to kind of like connect the two. So that is something that we plan on doing next year.
How long is Jaiyeroof? You might have said in the beginning, but just to clear, how long has Jaiyeroof been in existence?
It's 2008, so about 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
How often do you do the trips to Nigeria?
Once a year.
Once a year. So you did one last year, and you doing
And one the year before. So this will be our third trip.
Mm-hmm.
This will be our third trip this year.
Like it.
Do you plan on expanding to other countries in Africa?
Yes,
someday?
definitely. That is hopefully by like the 5-year mark, we can be in another country and be able to do our projects in Nigeria and then also expand to another country.
Is that like a thing? Because you made it sound like it was a thing. The 5-year mark, like what is?
Because I hope because this is the 3rd year that we're doing the trip. Next year, I'm thinking of maybe changing the time that we go. December is a great time because Nigeria is really popping in December because everybody comes back home and everything like that. But it's also very expensive. So I'm thinking of changing the time that we take the trip. But by the 5th year, hopefully Jaiyeroof would have grown to have the resources able to branch out into another country. I definitely want to make sure that we are prepared, and I don't want to do anything prematurely.
Yeah.
So hopefully by like the 5th year. So that's in 2 years.
You did mention you and your sister always had dreams of starting a homeless charity organization in Africa.
Yeah.
Is that still in the works, or is that where Jaiyeroof is like morphing to now?
That's kind of where Jaiyeroof morphed into. I would love to, like I said earlier, I would love to have like a base home in Nigeria. So I believe our last name is Almaroof. So that's where we kind of played on the Jaiyeroof. And my sister and I, when we were growing up, we wanted to have our own homeless shelter, and we were going to name it Rooftop and things of that nature. So
Why Rooftop?
Because our last name is Almaroof,
Okay,
so we're providing
gotcha.
you a home, that's your rooftop. So that's kind of where it came on. And anything that I want to do or will do, I think that your name is everything. Your name is legacy. So everything that I'll ever do will always have my name in it. So that's where that came about.
Let me ask you this. Do you see yourself living in Nigeria?
She already said she don't see herself ever living there, which I got a bone.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Where?
African is Pod. Shout out to African is Podcast,
okay,
by
yeah.
the way.
You know what? I definitely did say that. So my boyfriend, he loves Nigeria. He's Nigerian, and if it was up to him, he would be living in Nigeria right now. I think I'm opening up to the idea of living.
I mean,
in
but why
Nigeria.
though? Like, why wouldn't you want to? I mean, for me, I know why I want to go live in Cameroon, but for you, why wouldn't you want to go live in Nigeria?
I'm a big family person. So all of my siblings are in America. I am very, very connected to my siblings. And I know my siblings aren't moving to Nigeria at all. My mom, she wants to go back to Nigeria, and she said that she can't live in Nigeria either because her children are America. She would have to travel every three months. I'm just my whole life is in America.
Let me challenge that thought a little bit. It's something we don't usually do on this podcast.
Please.
But that doesn't that depict a sense of because Jaiyeroof is a great, we really is dope. That's why you're sitting here. Jaiyeroof is awesome. Being able to go back and impact the people positively. But doesn't that depict a mentality of, man, I'm just gonna come, drop off some stuff, see y'all later. You want to be able to share, the plight and live there for a while. It's 3 weeks. I don't know. It's a little.
I do get what you're saying. I do understand that. And that's why I said I'm opening up to the idea of, I do think eventually, especially with my boyfriend, I do plan on him being my husband one day.
Shout out.
So he's already, he's already in the mindset that he wants to live.
Does he know that you plan on him being your husband?
Listen,
because the way you worded it, I just wanted to.
He definitely knows that.
Okay, cool.
He's over here
Twisting words.
Twisting words and all whatnot.
Just want to make sure he's on the same page.
Yeah, he's on the same page.
My bad.
To add on what Reflex mentioned, you go into this, communities. Well, first off, how do you even pick them?
That's a really good. Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. So when I went to Nigeria the first year, I have family in Nigeria, so I have cousins. Like my first cousins, they're kind of, I call them like my liaisons because they're on the ground. They're able to help me understand what people need and like the best route to go about doing service. So the first year we went, I didn't really even like know what I wanted to do. But I told them, like, I want to get food. What's the best place to go? They were like, oh, we can go to this house where it's a lot of blind people. They call like the House of the Blind, and a lot of people that have disabilities. So we went there, and I said, okay, this is great. And in Nigeria, from that trip, I knew that I was going to come back again. And I knew that I wanted it to be bigger because the first time we only had about 220, like maybe 30 dishes. And after we gave them all out, it ended in 10 minutes. I was like, dang, like this didn't do anything because there's so many other people here that didn't go without food.
Wow.
So when we were going home, there's a bridge in Nigeria called the Third Mainland Bridge, and it connects the island to the mainland. And the bridge is long. And when you look over the bridge, it's water, but there are like houses on the water. And to me, I was just like, what is that place? And they said, oh, that's Makoko. And that is a very, very, very poor place, like very, very poor place in Nigeria. Like everybody lives on the boats, on the water. Their schools are on the water. Everything's on the water. So that sparked my interest. And they're like, oh, that would be a good place for you to do your service. But the only thing with that, Makoko is very, very popular. So a lot of NGOs always go there. So that was our idea to do it last year. We were going to do it in Makoko. When we went there, this was very disheartening. We were, what's the word for it? Bewildered. We were
taken aback. We were, but
in
awe.
Yes, all of that. But, I cannot think of the word right now. But when you do things in Nigeria, there's a certain way to do it. You have to talk to the people of the community. You have to let them know why you're coming and everything like that. So when we went, we told them what we want to do, but they asked for money in order to do the service. Like they act like, okay, if you want to do this, like you need to pay me. And then I need to pay. So let's say it's they had 3 communities. We told them we wanted to feed 1,000 people. They said, okay, that's no problem. But for each person, let's call them the mayor. Each community has a mayor. You need to give that person 20,000 naira, 20,000 naira, 20,000 naira in order to do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. I was in disbelief. It didn't make any sense to me. I was like, what does this mean? So I was at the verge of tears. I actually cried while I was there because to me, I think that is one of the biggest reasons why Nigeria really cannot get to where it needs to get to at a quick pace because it's very corrupt. So that was like kind of an eye opener to me that, this is great and all, but it's not really doing much. So I told my dad, I was like, you know what? I'm never coming back to Nigeria again. Man. Like, this is terrible. Like, I can go to some other country where, people would appreciate it. And another thing is I felt bad. Like, I'm not going to spend the money that people donated to Jaiyeroof to pay somebody in order to be able to do the work. Like, that, it didn't make any sense.
Right.
So that and I already had a lot of people that came to Nigeria, a lot of people that were there, and I was just like, okay, now what are we going to do? This was literally 2 days before the project was supposed to take place, and, we literally were driving around, and my cousin was just like, well, Bariga is a great place where, it's not as destitute as Makoko, but, the people there are very, very poor and are in need. So that's kind of how that came about. But with my team, I was just like, okay, well, this is great, but we want to make sure that we're able to continue to uplift this community. And they were very grateful. They didn't ask for anything. Like, they were just happy that we were there.
Yeah.
And that,
How do you,
go ahead.
for other kids, or for other young, inspiring philanthropical ladies or men who want to go back home, say to Nigeria, right? And will possibly be faced with these challenges, for example, bribery and corruption.
Yeah.
How, what advice would you have for them?
I would say to remember the reason why you started, or remember the reason why you wanted to do it in the first place. Because I will admit, I was very heartbroken. I told my parents, like, I'm never coming back to Nigeria again. Like, I don't want to do this. And my parents had to sit me down and, like, it's not a system that can be changed overnight. And you have to understand the way things are done in America is not the way things are done in Nigeria. Facts. So for me, I will say that I was a little bit naive and ignorant to that. Like, I was going into it with the mindset of, in America, people are welcoming. In America, people are, open arms. They want you to do things for them. They will take any type of aid. But there is different ways to go about things. So for me, I had to, like, okay, enlighten myself. Like, okay, this is not America. This is Nigeria. That's number one. And then also I had to understand and realize that this is just an obstacle. God placed this on my heart. This is something that I've been thinking about doing for a long time. So I cannot let one person deter me from helping more people. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it was just something that I needed to go through and my team needed to see in terms of, this is an obstacle that will probably happen again. Like, facts. It's definitely going to happen. It's definitely going to happen again. So this is okay. We experienced this. Okay, now we know how to go about it. Now we know the different obstacles, or the different steps to take in order to prevent it, or to complete. If we see that, okay, good. We're going to move on. There are other people that are very appreciative, that are willing to take our help. So,
on a more lighter note, break down the idea of living your best life while
giving to others.
Yeah. Because everybody's like, living my best life.
All right. So I would just say, so it comes from the name Jaiyeroof. And like I said, so the name came about, Jaiyeroof is my mother's maiden name, and Almaroof is my father's last name, my last name. So my sister and I, we were like thinking, this actually took about 6 months to come up with this name. So we just took the meaning of Jaiyeroof and Almaroof and merged it together in terms of living your life while giving to others. So Jaiyeroof means living your life. The Jaya part means living your life, and the Simi part means like peacefully or like with ease. And Almaroof means like the popular one, or given to others. So we merged the two, and I wanted to pay homage to my grandparents, because both of them were men that gave to others, and men that always had a lot of people in their homes. They had their doors open. They were always taking care of their children, and also children that weren't theirs. So I wanted to pay homage to my parents and my grandparents by, having something in their name. So we just merged the two. So.
You hear people, bring up the argument, you really can't fix Nigeria, you really can't fix Cameroon. How do you respond to something like that? You just say, yeah, I'm just gonna do my part and have a clear conscience? Or
no, I think it's with having that mindset and not trying to do anything about it is what keeps the countries where they're at. I definitely do think that it takes a lot of fresh thinking and a lot of out of the box ideas, and trying to get people out of their ways, because all of these like West African countries are fairly like new countries. They are not hundreds of years old. Like, they're all fairly new. So that's one thing that we have to understand, that they are just starting to get in the curve of how things are done. Yes, it takes time, but having that mindset that, you know, Nigeria is just going to be the way it is and not trying to do anything to impact that or to change it is just going to leave Nigeria exactly where it's at. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in the next 5 years. It's going to literally be something that has to be continued to be worked on.
You write in your blog post, should we really be praying for Liberia? It goes, it's time that Nigerians and other Africans alike realize that Europe is not worth their lives and dignity. Could you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. When you go to Nigeria, and I would assume...
And just for background, this is after when, you know, the whole
slavery thing with Libya, when you go to... the only country in Africa I've ever been to is Nigeria, but I'm just going to assume that other West African countries, when you go, the dream is to come to America, because America, what it's sold is the better life and everything like that. But, and I try to tell my cousins that America is great. America is literally the land of opportunity. There's so much that can be done when you come to America, but also it's a lot of hard work. So in Nigeria, a lot of people think that the roads are like painted with money, like, you know, money's falling from the sky. But I don't think that your life and your dignity is worth, especially, and just this is relating to the Libya situation in terms of getting to Europe or getting, like, it's not worth it. You go through all of that and you don't even know if you're really going to get to the other side. So that's my take on it. When I go to Nigeria, everyone's always like, oh, take me back with you and everything like that. I'm like, it is opportunity, but I wish that Africans, Nigerians can educate themselves or had that opportunity back home. So it's a process that's trickling down. Like, I wish like the government wasn't so corrupt that, you know, they have opportunities for everybody, because America has a lot of resources that Nigeria does not have. So I understand why somebody would want to come to America, but I don't know. I wish it could be a little bit better.
Man, now you're doing something great though, you know, with Jaiyeroof, and it's important work. December is coming up, you know. Definitely let us know how we can participate. Absolutely. I don't know if you're just taking food stuff or, you know, tangible goods like clothes or whatever. Definitely let us know how we can, you know, participate. We would love to, even if it's not going physically, because, you know, we can't do it.
Where are you from?
Cameroon.
And you're from Cameroon too? Oh, okay.
Why'd you ask?
I remember you told me you were from Cameroon. I'm sorry, but I really was trying to think where you were from.
East Africa.
Are you from East Africa?
No, I'm Cameroon.
Okay.
Yeah. 237 to the bone. But now listen, Jaiyeroof is the name of the organization. We have had the why you laughing, bro? We've had the privilege of speaking with the founder. I'm gonna butcher your name. Saudat Almaroof.
You actually pronounced it properly.
Saudat Almaroof.
That's the right way to pronounce it.
See, I know this thing. I'm a me teacher. But listen, though, it's great, and like I said, definitely let us know how we can participate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How can people reach you on social?
You can reach us on Instagram at Jaiyeroof Inc. That is JAIYEROOF Inc. INC. And then our website is www.jaiyeroofinc.org, and we also have a Facebook page. My personal Instagram, does that matter?
Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm saying? Some dude might want to slide, you know, DMs, even though you don't say a boyfriend wants to marry, but dudes out here reckless, just, you know.
My personal Instagram, I do post things on my Instagram as well. People actually communicate with me about Jaiyeroof through my Instagram. My personal Instagram is B on a roof. Be like the letter on a roof.
It's good. Might fire on a roof someday. I'm convinced you'll be on roofs. Like, just, I don't know, praying on the roof or something. I don't know. Yes. Do you do that?
No, I've never been on a roof before.
Okay, just checking.
No.
Listen, we are approaching 100 episodes of Stuck in the Middle podcast.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's what's up. No, that's a great accomplishment.
Yes, it's great. And we are partying October 7th. You should come.
October, that's a Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, where at?
Down the street from this studio.
Okay.
Yeah, we will send you the invitation. Please pull up.
That's really amazing. Like, I know a lot of people that do podcasts and a lot of people that want to do podcasts, but it's hard because you have to be consistent.
Yes.
Like, you have to do it. I was supposed to be part of a podcast, but I said no because I knew I couldn't be consistent. Like, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you guys.
A year and 100 episodes. You know, we don't pass them, but you know, we're still here. And like I said, we party and pull up. And yeah, that's October 7th. We want to appreciate every listener and supporter of the podcast. You know, keep sharing links and screenshots. SITM Podcast. We're on all social media platforms. The email is SITMPodcast237. And sponsor.
Yeah, I want to thank our sponsors, Perfect Office Solutions, you know, for continuously sponsoring us every week. If you want to sponsor us, you know what I mean, hit us up.
Hey.
Email sitmpodcast237@gmail.com.
And we're going to talk the
And
money.
we can talk the money.
Talk the money.
Yeah,
I got money bags. I got sponsors.
Security
That's
got to.
what's up.
But listen, Saudat Almaroof, founder of Jaiyeroof Inc, has been in the building. Listen, this is great work. And we're stuck in with a podcast.
And we out.
Yes, sir.